5 minutes.
अब तक लाइव नहीं हुआ ब्रो. ओके, कॉपी. I remember me and Uday came late for the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
We were like, wait, who is leading? And it's his second luck. I'm like, what player is this first?
This is Formula One 2024 Part 2. In a season of upended expectations, we now require some answers. Can McLaren win the Constructors' Championship for the first time this century? Are Mercedes truly resurgent? And can anyone get near Max Verstappen in the quest to crown the champion driver of the world? Today, a partisan crowd are creating one of the atmospheres of the season. This is the Dutch Grand Prix. Here's the circuit, 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles. We have 72 laps on the board around these 14 turns. There's not much in the way of elevation, but it's undulating all the way. We've got bank corners. We've got great overtaking opportunities on the inside, on the outside of Tarzan Corner, turn number 1. It's the C3, the C2 and the C1 tyre, the soft, the medium and the hard for the drivers to use this weekend. The combination in which you utilise those tyres is going to be key to who scores the major points of the weekend. Well, it is a stunning venue for Formula One, and we've got a really intriguing grid. Kevin Magnussen changed power unit components. He will start from the pit lane. Alex Albon disqualified from qualifying because his floor was too wide outside the parameters. Logan Sargent had a massive crash in FP3. He didn't even take part in the qualifying hour. Williams have modified that floor. It is now, they believe, within the regulations. Then you have Zhou Guanyu in 17th, Valtteri Bottas in 16th, and then Esteban Ocon is 15th on the grid. Lewis Hamilton has a 3-place penalty after impeding Sergio Perez. He has won a Grand Prix from 14th on the grid before, though. Then you have Daniel Ricciardo ahead of him. It's Hulkenberg and Tsunoda who are 12th and 11th. Into the top 10 with Carlos Sainz, who is Williams bound. He is next to Pierre Gasly, who was on the podium here last year. It is an all Aston Martin row 4 with Stroll next to Alonso, and then Charles Leclerc. He's in 6th place, but he's 9/10 of a second off the pace of pole position. Sergio Perez back-to-back races in qualifying trim for him in the top 5. George Russell believes his race pace will be better than qualifying. Oscar Piastri was not happy with the lap that he put together on the second run. Max Verstappen took provisional pole, but for the first time ever since the Dutch Grand Prix returned, it is a new pole sitter. It is, say hello to Lando Norris at the front of the field for the 4th time in his Formula One career. We welcome you to the commentary box, wherever in the world you're watching. Great to have your company. I'm Alex Jakes alongside David Coulthard and Jolyon Palmer. Gentlemen, the summer break ends here.
Thankfully, because I was missing my weekly dose of Formula One. And, well, we've certainly got the party atmosphere started, so let's see, it's a great Grand Prix.
Jolyon, what are you looking forward to most today?
Well, we've been talking championship battles, haven't we, over the summer break? A constructors' fight is definitely on. McLaren laid down a real statement yesterday, but can Norris put many points into Verstappen for the Drivers' Championship as well? Those two starting on the front row is going to be box office.
There's been a lot of chat about Lando Norris' start.
Oh, yeah.
He's never converted pole position to the lead in the 5 times, twice in sprints, 3 times in Grand Prix. David, for the other drivers around Lando Norris, is that in your mind? Are you approaching things differently at the start of this race?
100%. You know, I used to be a good starter. I wasn't particularly good at qualifying, so I had to develop my start technique. And I used to try and, when the green flag lap was there, if I had someone slightly ahead of me, I'd go really, really early. So I was in their vision as we were doing the green flag lap. So they're thinking, oh, did he make a better start than me? And that's exactly what I would be doing if I was Max Verstappen, to continue to get inside the head of Lando, because for sure he's been asked about why does he lose pole positions, and for sure they spend a lot of time looking at it with the engineers.
Yeah.
So it's more on his mind.
Check chat.
There is your front row. Same as last year, only positions reversed. Positions reversed in the championship as well. We are honing in on the formation lap to get the Formula
I'm
1
gonna start
season
swearing in
back
chat.
underway. It is round 15 of 24. This is Zandvoort in the Netherlands. It is time for the real thing once again. We are back to Formula 1, the top 10, all on the medium tyre. Kevin Magnussen going completely the other way on the hard. He starts from the pit lane. Sonoda, Hamilton and Bottas, the three drivers who begin this Grand Prix on the soft tyre.
Yeah, exactly as you described, DC. Max taking a small advantage into the first corner on the formation lap. This is a really big start for Lando. It's a shorter run than he's had from his previous poles in Barcelona.
Looks like
Okay, so top 10 is running mediums. After that, Sonoda is soft.
So it's much easier to take the lead from pole. You start with the same advantage off the line. And
no, I'm seeing in your this
smaller
touch
run, then anyone can make inroads on you. But it's all about that clutch release and then the second phase. That's where Max and Barcelona have got the advantage. It's where Oscar got the advantage as well.
Starting
if he can just keep one,
the
questions will stop, I think.
Norris,
Yeah, and the other thing as well as being that short run to the first corner, as you mentioned, you can actually run two abreast around Tarzan. Not optimal, but Max doesn't get the
and then
jump at the
followed by
start.
Gasly and
He's
Sainz
going
into the
to, I
top
think,
10. And
continue to
outside
put
of that,
pressure on
Sonoda
Lando,
starting on the
and
sauce.
there's always that opportunity for the
Then
alternate line
Hülkenberg
in
starting
turn
on the
3.
medium.
Yeah, it doesn't
Followed
end
by Ricardo
until
on
you really
another
get to the
medium.
fast stuff, and that's
Then
where Max is
Hamilton
very
on
strong as
14,
well in the high
big
speed.
stop
So
on
it is
the
with the
soft,
banking
taking
you've
a
got in the
gamble of
circuit.
a
There's
two-stop.
plenty of opportunity to go
And
side
after
by
that,
side. It's a very narrow
followed by
circuit as
Ocon,
well. So
Bottas,
loads of jeopardy
Sargent,
right at the
Albon
front.
and Magnus.
You're looking at the previous winners on the right-hand side. Max Verstappen since
on
this
the hard
race
tires.
returned to the
Albon,
calendar. Before
Sargent,
that,
both the
Nicky
Williams
Lauda
behind.
for
A
McLaren.
disappointing
That is the last time that McLaren
race
ran
and a
won
weekend for the
around
Williams. They
these
were
parts.
looking
Ferrari,
really
you're
strong.
looking at Fred Vasseur there. They're on the back foot. They're hoping for drama ahead. It's the only way they can contend at the very front of the field. A reminder of the state of play in the Drivers'
Everybody,
Championship.
get your
Lando Norris
predictions
has had
in
the
if
car
you
to
haven't
win
done so
throughout the
already
summer,
by
but he wasn't
voting down
able
below.
to convert it into any more than one Grand Prix victory. He's trying to chase down Max Verstappen, and look at how close McLaren are when it comes to the Constructors'
This is
Championship.
gonna be
Worth remembering
intense,
how
guys.
windy it is as well, as we saw one of those coats flying on the
Mixed
pit
up,
wall. It's going to make things
like
very
and
hard all
Sabo
race,
as
but
well.
particularly off the line for that braking zone into turn 1.
Yeah, there's a image that man's not used to. Lewis Hamilton finds himself well down towards the back of the grid after not making it through the top 10 shootout, and also
Don't
picking up
spam,
that
don't
penalty.
spam.
It is a really intense first
They
couple of
banned the
corners of this Grand Prix. There is room to go around the
Oh.
outside at turn number 1.
The
Turn
race
3
started for
is
you.
banked,
Yeah,
and it
it's
is very
started.
tight through turn number 2.
So,
The
five
drivers will have experienced
lights
the
are
proximity
starting in
of
3,
that until the
1.
first lap
Lights
of
start.
the Grand Prix. Last cars lining
Last
up
car is
into
lining
position.
up right
We
now.
have one car in the pit lane, 19 on the grid. Here comes the green flag at the back. We
Green
go
flag is
racing
away.
in Zandvoort.
Red.
In 5.
4,
Lights time.
3, 2, 1. Lights out and
And the
away
Dutch
we go.
Grand
That's a good
Prix
reaction
is
time from
underway.
George Russell there.
What sort of reaction is it? It's a poor start for Lando Norris. And
But it's Lando again, Lord.
Once again, Norris has not found the launch he was looking for.
How
And
bad
the
can a
home
driver
hero
be?
hits the front of the field.
Hello?
George Russell is up to third.
George
position.
Russell is
It's
up to
Verstappen,
third.
Then Norris, then Russell. As the field try to make their way
Hamilton's
through
up to
the first
third.
turns on the racetrack.
George Russell is up
To the
to third,
inside,
damn.
low line for Piastri. Can't make it work. It's Verstappen, then Norris,
He's
and
definitely taking advantage of that soft tire. In front of him there is Sonoda, who does overtake Hülkenberg.
George Russell is third, by the way, bro.
George Russell with an amazing start. Piastri and the McLarens. What's happening to them? Stroll with a horrendous start. Already 2 positions down.
Too much wheel spin immediately, and Max was clean and dry into the lead.
Listen to what the crowd make of that. It is Verstappen up a place, Norris down a position with it all to do, not what he wanted. Once again, at the end of the first lap of a Grand Prix,
It's gonna be a
Lando Norris will
long
not convert
and a
that
hot race.
into the race lead. It's tight further back.
For every
though. Is there an
driver right
opportunity
now.
to go around the outside for Daniel Ricciardo? No, there for
Yuki
Tsunoda, I should say.
Tsunoda
No, there isn't.
is
Lewis
getting
Hamilton trying
pressured
to take
by Hamilton
advantage
Lewis.
of that. He is upper position. Valtteri Bottas behind him is upper place. Tsunoda dropped one on that opening lap and was trying to come back against Nico Hülkenberg. Out front though, it is Lando.
Oh, and a
Norris who has
lockup
dropped
from
down to second
Hülkenberg.
place. Max Verstappen
A very big
leads his
lockup.
home race, and here comes a move to the inside. That would be brave stuff for Fernando Alonso.
And what an overtake by Pierre Gasly on Alonso.
At the moment over 7th position, and Alonso can't find his way
Now
back.
DRS is
Nice thing about the
enabled.
circuit, you
Let's
can
see.
run alternative lines, and Alonso's doing the same again at turn 3, but convention says sweep around the
Piastri
outside.
is right
and Gasly
behind
does that to maintain
Russell.
position. He's had a great start in the Alpine.
Yeah, that's certainly looking promising. Ollie Oakes, as the team principal, will be.
I feel like in the corners,
enjoying
Hamilton
seeing, his
has to
driver
show
move
why
forward
to
as
that
he
high down
sees
four
out,
setup.
the leadership of his first Grand Prix.
Because in the straights
Quite
he can't
interesting actually.
overtake.
We saw
That'd be very
Fernando
difficult.
go down the
that
inside
he
of Prix.
can't.
How much he lost on that.
Oh, but he
exit,
sends
so
it for the
highlights
inside
the gains
and
of doing
almost
that
gets
highlight.
it in.
DRS is
Yuki
now
Tsunoda
a
gets the
crucial
DRS
couple of
in.
laps for Lando Norris, who's
I'm
going to
watching his
try and
driver cam
stay
and
within
Hamilton
1
does take the
second
overtake.
window.
Let's fucking go.
Still seeing the battles going
Over
on. So this is
Lil,
all a
overtake.
result of Yuki Tsunoda not being able to
Zhou
get past
Guanyu's
the Haas. And now he's under pressure
20th,
from Lewis Hamilton,
losing
who's trying to
7
move
points.
forward. He'll
Albon
get
with
to
the
apex
good
first.
start.
That's a
Oh.
tidy pass. You don't get many into turn 11, but Hamilton has provided us with the first one of the day, and he climbs up to 12th position.
Yeah, a really smart move there for Hamilton. DRS was squeezed right to the inside,
what
and
I'm
then it's
saying,
the braking
bro.
zone with just a short run to turn 11, but through he goes. up at the
Verstappen
top.
with an
Yeah,
amazing
that was good,
start,
making use
and
of those
already
softer
he's
tyres.
the leader.
Yuki
Oh,
has
but
some
we have
soft
some
as well,
action
but
with
now
Valtteri
everyone ahead
Bottas
of him
going for the
is on
overtake, but
the medium
Tsunoda closed the
tyre.
door at the
Does
right
that tell
time.
us that Hamilton
Now
is
let's
more
see
likely to do
the
it too
important
soft?
battles. I
He
would
wants to
say
go
is
aggressive. The reason
definitely
you do that is to
Ferrari
use
and
the gain
Alonso.
at the start.
Gasly
He's still
may
12
catch
places,
up to
still outside the top 10,
Sergio
but he
Perez in
has
the
to
Red
try and make
Bull.
the difference in these early
Alpine
laps.
versus Red Bull was definitely not on my
Getting
bingo
very, very
card.
tight between Yuki Tsunoda and Valtteri Bottas.
Verstappen is creating a good gap with Norris behind with a fucking rocket ship.
Second answer was no. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix for Max Verstappen, 1.4 out front.
Yes, so he's already broken
Keep in mind in
DRS.
turn 1 there are a lot of lockups which
Very
can
good thing for Verstappen
effectively
is that this
ruin a
man that we're on
person's
board with has
race.
dropped behind George
And now
Russell as
Piastri is
well.
very
And
close to the
Russell has
Mercedes
dropped away
of
from
George
second
Russell,
from
activates
Norris.
DRS, but
Mercedes isn't as
is he
quick as
close
the
enough
McLaren.
to
We think
put
the
that
McLaren is the
overtake in?
quickest
No,
car
he
on the low
isn't.
fuel and the high fuel, but their poor starts have meant they've not only lost the lead, but they're not even in
The
second
top
or
10,
third to try and
every
do
one of
something
them
different
is on the
strategy at
medium
moment.
tires,
Piastri's gotta
so
try and stay in
it's
touch
going to
with
be
the
a
top
very
two.
big strategy
He's
gamble
probably gotta
from
clear
the Red
George
Bull
Russell quite
team
quickly.
and
Yeah,
from
he has
every
indeed.
team in
Well,
top
he's not
10.
getting
I
off
feel
that,
like
last corner
one
as close
very
as he would
big
like.
name
He's
is
just
going to
gonna be too
crash.
far back, although he does have
I
DRS.
can't say who, but
Crucially,
because I
as you
don't know
mentioned,
who.
George doesn't
But
have the
let's see
DRS,
how it
so
will
it's
go.
worth about 0.6 of a second around this
Oh, and a
race
little
time.
oversteer there for Hamilton.
So Piastri
And
putting
Sergio
the
Perez
pressure on as
sends
well.
it and almost hitting the
From where we
back of
started the Grand
Charles
Prix, Perez
Leclerc.
lost the position to Charles Leclerc, who
Oh,
was in
fucking
5th place.
top.
So Verstappen gaining the lead in the opening meters of the race.
No,
Another
Uday.
tough start for Lando Norris in 2nd place. Russell
Is Uday
gained
even there?
position against Piastri,
Yeah.
and then Leclerc got ahead of Perez.
Bro,
who's
I don't know
still
shit
trying
about
to heap the
F1.
pressure on.
No,
Gasly
just
climbing a
you
couple
see
of
the
places, he's in
leaderboard,
7th.
just be like,
The
oh yeah,
rest of the
okay,
point
so
scorers,
this guy's
Alonso
now
down
this.
1, Sainz up 1, and Stroll down 2 for Aston Martin.
Okay.
A reminder, the top 10 are all on the medium compound.
P8 to
of
13
tyre.
has
Highest
DRS
soft
enabled.
runner, Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, so
who's
Tsunoda
trying to
does has
pass
DRS
on
enabled
Hülkenberg,
of
but Hülkenberg
Lewis
does
Hamilton,
have
but now Hamilton will get DRS
within
too.
1 second
Now
of
in that
Stroll in
penultimate
front.
corner, there can be many overtakes done, and Hamilton will he go from
as well,
here?
Sergio Perez at turn 10. Frustrating conditions, make it tricky, make it difficult to be consistent. And one mistake will lead to a big overtaking chance as well. Piastri is still glued to the tail of George Russell. Big overtaking chance now is just into turn 1. Those moves that Hamilton pulled into 11, that is unlikely
Yeah, Norris
to be
is trying to
an obvious
catch up
place
to Verstappen,
in
but he's
the
losing time.
run-of-the-mill racing now that we're into, because you lose too much in the
It's
faster
pretty
corners
easy why
unless
Hamilton
there's a
can't
mistake
overtake
ahead.
so easily in straights. His
Taking
car
out
setup
Perez,
is
it's a
more
big
towards
afternoon for him.
high
He needs to
downforce, so
show
in
that
corners he
he's
can
got
do
good
it.
enough race pace to bring home the points, having dropped that place to
So
Leclerc
compared
already.
to
And a Ferrari that
Compared to
hopefully
George
off
Russell in the
pace to
quali, he
qualifying,
was losing
then he's got to
0.31
try
tenths
and make
off.
sure he can get
So
himself back
that's
up
what-
into that 5th place at least.
Yeah, similar to Piastri,
That's-
he doesn't want to lose touch with those ahead by being
Yes,
boxed
sir.
in behind a slower
So
car.
he can get
At
the
moment,
overtake
Leclerc
done here
still
in,
within DRS
for
rating.
Hülkenberg in the
Piastri, who's
second
tucked in behind
first
Russell,
DRS zone.
just drifting away away from Norris, but still has the lead duo inside.
Now the
It's
first
interesting,
big
everyone
overtake
from
I
the
feel like will
inside
be
of grid
Russell
made
and
place at the
Piastri.
start.
Piastri
Verstappen
can
moved up
get
one,
very
Russell moved
close
up one,
within
and
that
Leclerc
Mercedes
moved up one. Normally you lose a bit of grip,
straightaway.
it's not so rub it in, but
Nico Hülkenberg does not have DRS. That means he is open to get overtaken by the 8-time world champion.
Max Verstappen holds the lead.
Pierre Gasly driving a fantastic race. So far, he's keeping Alonso at bay.
Good friends at the front of the field who have clashed already this year, and Norris will know that he's going to have
And
a
now
chance for the strategy
for lap
to get
7
ahead.
to start, Hamilton is
As lap 7 is starting, it's a 1/10 that Russell has gained on Piastri this lap, which is coming down in the DRS section, which is the most or easiest place to overtake in the whole circuit. It's not a circuit which is easy to overtake, it's also known as second Monaco for those who know about F1. Russell and Piastri both falling back on Norris, Norris maintaining a decent
Go
gap.
out. Norris's reaction is good, but he just goes nowhere in that
Verstappen
first phase of the launch, and he is
Norris
already
are
cleanly
still in
behind
the
Verstappen.
fight.
You can
It
see
will be
Russell
down to the
and
strategy
Piastri side by
calls.
side. Perez having a nose in and passing Charles Leclerc. Maybe not at turn 1. Must
May
have
the
passed
better
further
team
around
win.
the lap
Yeah,
for,
made the better team win.
oh no,
I
sorry,
hope
Leclerc
Mercedes
passing
wins,
Perez. But that
Sir.
launch for Norris, just the reaction was
first
fine.
time after a long time Verstappen is leading the race. So yeah, for some people that would be a shocker, but people who saw the 2023 season, it's not that big of a
you know, that chatter
turn on.
would suggest that he's struggling for the traction. He hasn't gone way over the top in his
Pierre
RPM
Gasly from
procedure.
P9 to P7, overtaking an Aston Martin. This can be big points for Alpine as they had a okayish season start, and now they're looking forward. Oh, but Hamilton there can go for the overtake, but no, he backs out last moment as the Haas is keeping the Mercedes at bay.
Lovely start from
Let's see
Gasly.
the
Too often you see
overall
around the outside of
performance
Fernando
by the
Alonso.
Ferrari,
Unknown.
and it's not that bad.
Amazing start actually for Carlos Sainz. Sorry, excuse
I
me,
mean,
Charles
Leclerc did
once he
start
hooked it
6th
all
and now
up.
he's 5th,
And,
so I
we
feel like he's just
carried
looking
that
for some
momentum
mistakes
all the way
anyone
around the outside.
perform,
So
and he
start,
can
it
just
looked like he
take
procedurally
another
he did everything
position.
right.
You
His
never
clutch was
know.
the right place, dropped it over.
Here
He
Verstappen
didn't
is
find
creating
any
a
grip.
big gap. Oh, and
Off the
wait,
road,
one
the driver who
Haas
started
is
in
off the
pit lane
track. Oh,
tried
that's
to make a
Magnus.
move.
That's the
One of the
start
Williams
replay.
drivers would have been
That was the
Logan
start
Sargent,
replay.
finding the gravel, finding the
But
escape
yeah,
road.
what a weekend for Magnussen. But after that, it's just very hard to even get within P16. So just tap in video.
The reason that the Dutch Grand Prix was brought back.
It's good, Max. Keep it up. Just watch that rear left sliding.
Yeah, the race engineer, GP, looking at all of the information that's delivered to them on the pit wall and just acting as a sort of overwatch. I'm sure Max has got that information, is driving to...
So Leclerc can go for the attack mode, but here's Hamilton with DRS, close to Nico Hülkenberg this time. Can he go for it? No.
Norris could well be just accepting his fate from the start. Could be
He
just
holds him
managing
bay
that time.
again. This is
May
bad
well
for
have in
Hamilton
their
as he
mind
has
that
the
they
faster
want to
tires,
be-
but just cannot overtake him.
And it is one that he's enjoyed. I think Carlos
Oh, and
Sainz
Carlos
has made a
Sainz
move.
does go for the
He's got
overtake
up to
on
8th
Fernando
place on
Alonso.
time
Aston
power on
Martin,
the
who
left-hand
were
side
pretty good in
in the
qualifying,
Scarlet Ferrari,
suddenly
and
their
he's
race pace
found
is
a big
horrendous.
occasion for Verstappen, home race, 200th Grand Prix start. He wants a win though, because he's in the very rare position of having been winless in the last 4 consecutive Grand Prix. It is his worst run off the top step since 2020.
If there was ever a place for him to bounce back, it would be here, though, wouldn't it? Never been beaten around this circuit in Formula 1.
What a place
Such
to win
huge
for
support as well.
Verstappen in his
Raw
home
yesterday when he
turf.
provisionally put it on pole, the Raw on the first lap when he took the lead. This
Now
would mean
Hamilton,
so much to him. There's a long
he's
way to go.
complaining to Bono that
Lando Norris has just done the
he
fastest
has
first
very
sector of the race. He's
bad
certainly
straight speed.
keeping Verstappen well within his sights, and we know that McLaren comes on good later in races and also later in stints. They are kind on their tyres.
Who we are racing? We think it's just Max.
I think we're racing over everything. The car ahead.
So a slightly confusing message there.
It's almost like he's being chastised.
Ooh, and that was very close by Carlos Sainz. Almost contact with Pierre
No, I
Gasly.
don't think it was. I see what you mean on the radio.
I feel like Hamilton has to pass Hülkenberg and Stroll to have his hopes for the top 8 or 7.
I read that one. This was the move I told you about a few moments ago. Round the outside for Carlos Sainz. Places the Ferrari well. Gets
Old
past
school
two-time
track,
world
any
champion
mistake and
Fernando
you are
Alonso.
punished
Nice
here.
move.
using
So the
bit of
drivers have
braking
to be
there at turn
very
one.
calm
Go inside
with
and
whatever they
outside,
do, the
and onto the
overtakes.
outside
That's
line
why
there
it's
for
one of the
one speed
hardest
over
tracks to
another. An
overtake,
important
as
move, I
one
think, for
bad
Gasly as well.
turn and
He'll
you
be
are
the
done.
second Ferrari to
Oh,
Let's
and
go for
chase
Nico
that through.
Hülkenberg does lock up for
Still
some,
goes back
and
from,
now
George
Hamilton
Russell.
is close towards Nico
Either
Hülkenberg,
surprising
but not
radio
within
message there
overtake
regardless
distance.
to
Can Hamilton
Hülkenberg.
send down?
He's a second and a
No, he
half
does a
off
dummy,
the back of
and Nico
race
Hülkenberg
leader.
almost falls for it.
McLaren
And now there's a
confident about their
second
race pace.
DRS
They
zone
put it on pole with
coming
3.5
in the main
tenths
straight.
yesterday. Russell's dropping away. He's now 3 seconds pretty much behind.
So Hamilton has changed the
Lando.
engine mode, which may give
Obviously
him
the
better
best
straight
driver in the
speed.
grid, surely.
But Nico Hülkenberg does
Yeah,
have
I don't
DRS,
think
but
there was
Hamilton
any
is
signs that
closer.
Mercedes
Can he get
was,
it this time? And
suddenly
he's
going to have
he's
this
gaining,
really
he's
headed
gaining.
there.
Can he go for the overtake?
Yes,
He goes
he
for the
does.
inside, and
So
is
it's gotta be
the
all
Britain
eyes on
is
full
12th
attack.
now,
How
11th.
would Norris know?
Next
This
target
more than
is
the
the
pit.
Aston Martin.
Barely see Russell in the mirrors.
Hamilton complaining about straight line speed. Pierre Gasly checking the left mirror.
I
And
feel
the
like Bono,
right
when he
for the
gave that
oncoming
information to
Carlos
change the
Sainz.
engine mode, it
Charles
did
Leclerc
work
in
as he
half a
overtook
second
Nico
to
Hülkenberg
Oscar
with
Piastri,
ease.
A few moments ago, he's dropped back to 8 tenths at this stage.
So now Hamilton's side is
two DRS zones around this circuit.
gambling on a
Second Ferrari
two-stopper.
on the grid,
So let's see
making their way
which tires
through.
would they go
Remember,
for.
McLaren were
Hard or
leading
medium or
the
medium
competition
medium?
in Budapest and covering off Hamilton, who had not been a threat for ultimately the win at any point of the weekend. That's how they got themselves into the team orders shenanigans that we saw back in Budapest when Oscar Piastri took his first win in Formula 1 in a Grand Prix, that is. He did have a victory in a sprint last year in his rookie season.
I spoke to Zach Brown on the grid, and the message that he definitely wanted to emphasise was, ahead of knowing how
Hamilton took a little gravel there
free to race.
at
Totally
the end
implying
of the
fact that he wouldn't
DRS
be doing any sort of,
section.
slow down,
And
get
now
position back.
lap
We found a
11
similar scenario
starting
to Budapest.
is almost the same, but
On board with the
Gasly,
Alpine of
Sainz
Pierre
have
Gasly. You got a shot
overtaken
there of
Alonso
new team
and
principal
Stroll.
Oliver Oakes, who's about to see his car come under serious
Pretty
pressure
bizarre
from
that
the
Sergio
Ferrari.
Perez is
Carlos
not
Sainz, who
gaining
stays in the
on
slipstream
Leclerc.
for as long as possible.
Oh, but
Gasly
Sainz
gonna
does
fight
go
this
for
one
the
around
overtake on
outside.
Pierre
Tough
Gasly,
moment on the
who
apex.
is now
Gasly keeps his
no.
foot in
They have
the
still,
Alpine.
and Gasly still
And
has
who's gonna
the
get there in turn
position.
number two? Still
They are
go
gonna
side by
go
side,
for the.
and
Oh, and that was
Sainz
very
gets
close
ahead.
by
Another position
Carlos
gained.
Sainz.
He
Almost
moves up to
contact,
seventh.
but
Playing a game of
Carlos
dare,
Sainz
weren't
moves
they, on
up
the
to
exit of
7th
turn
place.
one? Well, I'm not backing off, so you better. And in the end, Gasly has to cede the position.
That is fine
The outside
racing
line actually
there.
looks more advantageous.
Formula
doesn't it, to try
1.
and hold it higher on the banking there to keep track position or gain track position, but Sainz proving
And now Lewis is close to the Aston
Yeah,
Martin
team
in this part of
principal
this
will like that
circuit.
feisty hanging
Oh, but a
in there,
little
but in the
oversteer.
end,
Let's
Steve
see, can the
Carlos-
Aston Martin teammates
Very
help
late
each other
decision to
for,
go for that inside line.
to
Runs
keep
it
Hamilton
wide,
at
actually.
bay,
You can see Gasly had to open
as
his
Alonso
steering
is giving
to give him a
to
bit
a
more
lot of
space, and
DRS
that's
to
the
help
moment
him
just had
defend
his
with
nose ahead.
Hamilton. But Hamilton
Crucially,
does have
that
the
gave him
faster
the
tires,
confidence.
but
I
can he
also think
overtake
it's smart of
the
Pierre
Aston
not
Martin?
to overly fight that turn 3 as well, because the underlying pace of that Ferrari is quicker than Alpine. Get sucked along by him, gain some time, don't lose on your overall race time.
Yeah, his fight will be with those Aston Martins behind.
Now again,
Aston
DRS
Martin doing a
enabled
very good day
main
yesterday. Now coming
straight.
under pressure from Lewis Hamilton.
Can Hamilton
Sneaking up
get
towards the top 10,
Alonso
including
and Stroll?
Hülkenberg.
That would be a very good window for pitting.
The sound of the V6 turbocharged
And who knows,
engines
maybe
as
you catch
Hamilton
up to
is going
Sainz.
to try and make swift
I
progress.
feel like P5 would be a great result. Podium would be too much of a gamble.
Mercedes team Lewis Hamilton leaving in 10 races time when he heads to the famous
George Russell,
Ferrari stable.
a very
Starts a new
underrated
chapter in his career
drive.
with an
So far, he's
unbelievable
P3
start
holding Piastri
with
back. So
the
Piastri is
silver
probably
Max Verstappen
managing his tires.
2 seconds ahead. Charles
And
Leclerc
he
again
has Leclerc
choosing
behind
to,
him.
run half a second away from the second McLaren of Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, Hamilton
Oh,
has
lock up
taken
there.
that additional position, but yeah, I hadn't really sort of considered
And
the
now
mention about
another
the 10 races
DRS
ago.
zone
It's like a failed
available
tour, isn't it,
for Lewis Hamilton
Lewis,
for the
and
overtake, but
straight
he
to
won't go
Ferrari.
for it as he's very far.
Plan A versus Plan B.
Piastri radio.
I think Plan A.
Copy that.
So plan A versus plan B.
So far, Verstappen's
Discussions
playing
going
good.
on.
He has not made any big
Is
mistakes.
lap
Norris
13
is
of
very
72.
further away
We
from
have
him
plenty
compared
of
to
cars
what
within,
the
DRS
practice
range.
showed
It's
on the
fine
long
margin
runs.
stuff at the moment. Max Verstappen.
I feel
is
like
our
the top
race leader.
10
We join
is
this battle, and
just
you can see that Norris is getting
managing the
closer now.
tires.
He's got it down from 1.4 seconds to the brink of DRS.
He was actually just within a second on the last
And now
lap.
Norris
Not
is
at the
close
crucial part to
within the
open
DRS territory.
Starting to hunt down
Will he
the
be
race
able
leader.
to
The two of
get-
them breaking away from from Russell.
DRS
Only
into
tiny
the
bits
straight
every
line.
lap.
Albon pits. Albon pits.
He's out of shot there as they
Let's see how will this pit stop go.
Pit stops being completed.
And it was a good pit stop. I feel it's 2.6. Yep, 2.6 for Alex Albon. Our tires.
Albon thought he put it P8 on the grid.
So this is going to give everyone in the race a heads up on how hard this will work. A lot of oversteer in that corner from Lewis Hamilton.
Albon was 19th.
It's very early from where he is.
So we can definitely feel the grip going away, away, and away.
What we'll do is give the other team some information on that hard tyre.
Probably plan A. Plan B might be a
Stroll is now without DRS as Alonso is pulling away. Now this can be this place where Hamilton does overtake Lance Stroll.
He'll get the benefit of that. 2 parts of the racetrack. He will find himself.
Now Verstappen Norris has DRS on Verstappen, and Hamilton will go for the overtake on Lance Stroll, and he is in the top 10. What a brilliant overtake there. Caught me off guard. So you could definitely see the help of DRS in that section. And now Hamilton is on to his old rival Fernando Alonso from McLaren. Can these two legends battle it out again?
Medium tyre for Stroll.
Verstappen radio. Verstappen's complaining about the car turning in turn 10. Maybe it might be a brake bias issue again. As we saw in Hungary, he was complaining and then he collided with Hamilton, resulting in him losing a podium.
Putting pressure on Verstappen though. We're right on the cusp.
And now Norris is
race, and this is what I think
away from the DRS section now, because now Verstappen is definitely pushing. Verstappen was holding and managing his tires brilliantly. And now can Norris show how good this McLaren is? As Piastri is definitely not showing it, as he's struggling to catch up within a Mercedes.
He's not getting close in that final corner, and
you can see different lines drivers take, so they can confuse the other drivers or not give them slipstream,
then he should be able to still
resulting in DRS.
Right, the
Hamilton radio's car is very good.
Let's bring in Ruth Buscombe-Davie for the overview on lap 15 and
now Nico Hülkenberg and Yuki Tsunoda pits. Important that Yuki Tsunoda pits as he had the soft tires, so this will definitely show where Hamilton can fall in when he does pit.
If you set the crossover, normally you veer towards a one-stop race. Looks like the Red Bull are going for that medium hard one-stopper. McLaren debating whether they want to.
So Nico Hülkenberg is definitely going for the one-stop,
two-stop. That conversation you heard about a way to beat Max is thinking, should we add another stop and try and go through traffic? But right now it doesn't look like that's the way to do it. I think they should use their car pace, try and undercut at the stop and be aggressive.
Thank you, Ruth. Appreciate that.
There.
Buscombe-Davie having a look at all things strategy for us at the Dutch Grand Prix. It is lap 15 of 72. Max Verstappen still holds an advantage. It's around a second. He is finding himself just ahead of Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton is making progress, and he was able to get past Lance Stroll earlier on, and he is trying to get past Fernando Alonso now.
Hamilton is close to Fernando Alonso. Can he put in a late lunge? He does, but will Fernando Alonso give it the position? It does seem like that Hamilton is in P9. What an overtake by the Briton.
Can he get to the apex first? He can. Second Aston Martin cleared. Hamilton.
Absolutely lovely driving from Lewis Hamilton. Definitely showing that these soft tires can work.
He's very downbeat after qualifying. Understandably, wanted to be not only in Q3 but right up towards the sharp end. The circuit Mercedes thought they had better chances on than this, but it's making some progress now, using that soft tyre, which is obviously still hanging on pretty nicely.
And the safety car probability is around 76%, and virtual safety car is like 86. So it's definitely going to be a very entertaining race.
Interestingly, Albon has just pumped in the fastest lap of the race on a hard tyre. Now his car is actually not that slow. He qualified 8th yesterday. There's an upgraded Williams. Norris is very close.
Now Norris does have the DRS on Verstappen. What can happen? And Norris does go from the outside, but Verstappen defends like a lion. But there is another DRS zone here. Can he get it again? Can he overtake his rival Verstappen? As all of them are flirting with the track limits in that one amazing corner.
And now we've got race on at the front.
Yeah, he'll have a few laps.
So now this is definitely a race on, I would say, as Norris and Verstappen, they both are going to push their tires to the end.
A little more, but McLaren showing its pace.
Yeah, my tires are just numb. They're not good.
Verstappen's complaining about his tires.
You start feeling the heat, you're not feeling comfortable
अबे
in
भैंसों
the
को देख
car.
कुछ टाइप ही नहीं
You're
कर रहा
struggling, you're losing grip, and then you just see the car behind getting closer and closer, and now he's having to defend into turn one. Starts to get quite stressful in the cockpit.
Absolutely. You end up sometimes just in little windows of performance on the tyres. At the beginning, he looked relatively comfortable. Now we're 17 laps in. He's just dropped out of that, and this looks like Lando's. Definitely as close as he was last time around.
He is very close. On board with Lando Norris.
Norris is close on Verstappen, and he gets the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix, but Verstappen's not giving up.
And all of the damage done at the start
And
of the
he
Grand
does
Prix
get the
is forgotten
overtake
now,
complete.
because
Verstappen
Lando Norris
is again
takes the
complaining
lead.
about
He's
his
got
tires,
such
saying,
tremendous pace
"Mummy,
right now
mummy,
in this
mujhe
stage in the
tires
race.
de
You
do."
can just see Max didn't offer a defence, but he didn't have the grip really to defend anyway. He was struggling to get out of turn 12 on the lap before. He was struggling to get out of turn 1 to take the fight even longer. He just doesn't have the grip.
We've seen this early in the season. The McLaren, they're able to manage the tyres when the car's heavy, and then as the fuel starts burning off, they just seem to, it's like they're on a different compound.
This is the move again. For the second lap in a row, he was able to stay close. Verstappen knew he was coming. The defensive shape was more of a waft. He knew there was nothing to keep Lando Norris behind, and the McLaren goes by.
I feel like
3.5
Verstappen would have
tenths of a second.
defended
He was on
more
pole. He now
if he
has
had
that race
better
lead once
grip.
again.
Well, this now puts Red Bull strategy, I guess, under a little bit of pressure, because if
now
he's
he
not
fucks up
happy
the
on
Red Bull
that
strategy
tyre,
a lot,
there isn't
as
a clear
Verstappen
and
is now
comfortable
down
space for
and
him
he's
to
second
pit
place
early
compared
and
to
drop out
Norris,
into
who
all
will
of
take
that
the lead.
traffic. They just don't have the pace.
This is
to be cutting through
basically
the pack.
get the strategy right, get
Out
him
behind
within
Lewis
few
Hamilton right
seconds,
now
or
if he were to
we are
pit,
done.
so he's got to keep going. He's still within DRS range of Norris out front. So if he can just stay this close, then they can apply pressure at the pit stop phase.
Yeah, that's giving him about half a second, so
Who's
toes
the
him
flat
along.
from here?
Lando, how are the tyres?
I think okay, mate. They feel pretty reasonable. I'm consistent, so.
Well, Lando, we think just plan A. We think plan A. He might try the undercut, but that's cool. Plan A.
McLaren have taken a few races this year to get up to speed with being a front-running team, but they have the fastest car.
So now
They
can
have
Hamilton get within
the
DRS?
chance to win this Grand Prix. Would be their third Grand Prix win of the year. It would just be a second career victory for Lando Norris, as we are looking at Charles Leclerc, who is still staying within DRS of Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, Leclerc doing a good job there, and I'll tell you, Hamilton, he's only 20 seconds off Norris. When you consider where he started on the grid, that suggests the pace out front was...
Hamilton with amazing
Verstappen was
race
trying to manage
pace.
it, but it wasn't
Apparently
racing,
this is
and that's why the pack's
0.2
still relatively
of
bunched
Norris.
up.
On the last
Yeah,
lap,
with
Norris
heavy
was half a second
degradation
clear
on
of
his
pretty much
soft
anyone
tires.
in the race, apart from Carlos Sainz, who's in clear air trying to catch up after his poor qualifying yesterday. And it does show that everyone else is just stuck in the groove and not able to find pace. It's largely behind George Russell, who's now 5 seconds adrift of this lead fight that continues to go on, even a couple of laps after Norris has taken the lead.
Yeah, Verstappen's staying within DRS, so the next task ahead for Lando Norris is to try and break out of that 1 second window. It's 9/10 of a second as they sweep their way through the opening corners, heading to the wonderful sky-flat corner, turn 7, where you plunge down the hill and change direction at enormous speed. Such an impressive place to watch Formula 1 cars change direction.
It felt like my brakes are going along, but I feel like there's a lot more wind all of a sudden.
Okay, we're checking now.
So I
Never
feel like
a nice
Hamilton's
feeling
gonna
for the driver.
box
The
any
brake pedals
minute
are
as
incredibly stiff relative
this
to
round is off.
what you would experience
It is
in a road
working
car.
brilliantly.
So when he
He's
starts talking
already
about going long, he might be
7
talking about
positions up
5
or 6.
millimeters. But that, in the mind of a race driver, is like getting into uncomfortable territory.
Yeah, so sensitive to the feel of anything in Formula 1, but that left pedal particularly, you put so much force
So
through
now I
it,
feel
and
like
it
he
sets up
will
the
go
whole
for
corner.
the
It's like
box,
Princess and the Pea, isn't it? You know, if I
Russell's
put a
pretty
grain
good,
of rice in under your
this.
seat, you would have felt it.
It's so true, and
Yeah,
especially
for
when you've just taken the
Piastri,
lead, you think
as
you've got everything in control.
Maybe Mercedes
Then
can
you
get a
start to think
podium,
about
but
anything
Russell
that else
just
could
hanging on
go
to that
wrong, or a
third,
snap of oversteer, a brake that's not quite what you're expecting. And yeah, the brake
Hamilton
sets up the
goes
whole
for
corner.
the
If you can't
pit.
brake
No, he
as hard, then
doesn't.
you start to wash into the corner.
So he
and
is going a
your
little
balance
more
changes a
longer.
bit, so it's important to have confidence in it. and he's just
This
broken
is just
the DRS.
such an amazing track, and Pierre Gasly does
super
lock up a little
sensitive
bit.
to everything when you're behind
And
the wheel.
he almost
They
gets into
literally
position to lose
drive
Hamilton.
with the feel through the seat of their pants. And Hamilton continues
It's such an
to
amazing
pressure.
track.
I don't think Gasly will hold on for much
the
longer.
Way it's
Brakes
designed.
wise,
This
everything
is a
fine from
proper
our side.
Yeah, it's
old
okay, I think
school
it's sweet.
track. So it's like lovely
He's always pretty chill actually, Lando,
to
on the
watch,
radio.
and like any overtakes done here, it's just like wow,
Dutch
either
Grand
driver
Prix
is
trying to work out
amazing,
strategy and
or
with still
the
a
track
sizable
just
amount of
punished the
distance to go.
other.
He has broken out of that DRS range now. 1.7 seconds is his lead out front. George Russell still leading Oscar Piastri by
So
1.2
Norris has
seconds.
broken
Charles
from the
Leclerc
DRS
able to
range,
run
which is
with the McLaren
here for
and staying
the
within that 1
McLaren
second window,
garage,
so
but
much better
very
than
bad
Ferrari
news for
showed
Verstappen as
in terms of
his
one
home
lap
race
pace.
he
Slight
is
correction
getting
for Lewis
screwed by
Hamilton,
Norris.
who's the silver arrow behind the Alpine. There is Abby Pullick.
Hamilton reports
F1
tires
Academy
are
driver.
beginning
He's
to
had
drop,
a very
which is
successful
definitely
weekend
not
here so far. They had to run
good,
2
but
races on
would
the
you
same
expect
day
a 23
after
lap
the Dutch
or
weather does
soft
what it often
tires?
does in this part of the world and rained
So
sideways. They weren't
any
able to
moment
race
now
yesterday.
he will go
So back-to-back
for
races for Abby Pullick, part of that.
box,
Alpine
but he does go
Academy.
for the
And
overtake
talking
on
of the
Pierre
Alpine
Gasly. Can he
Academy,
get
the
it in?
news on Friday
And
that
he's
Jack
very
Doohan
close. They
will
both are
join the
giving
grid
each other
for
enough space, and he almost
2025.
touches
He will
him.
become a teammate
Gasly
of the
with
driver who is trying to
he's
keep Lewis
hanging
Hamilton
on to
behind.
that
Pierre Gasly in
P8.
8th, and Hamilton looks like he's closing in. Now he can't get the move done into 2. He's doing that off the driver tracker. We're on board. You can see Hamilton's still pretty close at turn number 3 on
So
the left-hand
Hamilton
side
is
of your picture.
definitely
We're
in
on
the
board with Charles Leclerc,
second
winner of the
DRS
Monaco Grand
rejection.
Prix. Last
He
time out
is
after George
having
Russell
a
was
lot of
disqualified.
understeer.
It was
So-
a first podium since that win
Yeah, let's see
in the
how he will.
Principality, and Ferrari having a much better Sunday than they did Saturday.
There's a curious one with Piastri coming under a little bit of pressure
I'm watching his
from
driver camera.
Leclerc.
There's a lot of
Given same
spacing
car,
as the
same
tire
tyres,
is
he's
killing the front
tends
right.
to so slower than Norris, who's started to really find some good lap times. 15.7 versus 16.4 for Verstappen. So he's got that gap out to, you can see there, well
So
over 2.5
Hamilton will
seconds.
box as there's 3 cars
Leclerc's
in
had a
the
few
pit
drives
window,
this
so
year where he's been more
waiting
impressive
them
in race trim than
clear
qualifying.
it
We know him
out.
as a great qualifier. He's very close this time.
0.2 of a second forces the defensive move from the one-time Grand Prix winner, man from Melbourne, Oscar Piastri ahead, but that shows you that Leclerc is much happier with a bit of fuel in the car, a little bit
Oh,
of
and Hamilton with a
completed.
big
Either way, on Sunday, he's
understeer,
forcing
almost
Piastri on the
going into
defensive.
the
Yeah,
gravel.
this isn't just Oscar looking after his tyres. You wouldn't welcome this much pressure at this stage. He's looking at a podium still, Piastri. Verstappen's not going much quicker than Russell now ahead. You see Hamilton on the inside of Gasly.
So this is going to be the concluding part. Oh, look how close they were. It's a wonderful part of turn 1. We could see it was
He's
close
kind of
when they
weak
got
when
there.
that stopped.
And this is what it looked like from the heli.
Yeah, that wide line allowing almost a little bit of contact there. Hamilton having to take avoiding action, but
Hamilton is definitely struggling
doing a good
on
job
his rear right
here.
and left
But I
tires,
can
as
imagine
they're
in the
just
longer
not
term
turning.
he'll be able to keep Hamilton
And
at bay.
that's
But Hamilton, those
what
soft
we
tyres,
say
doing a
in
good job.
terms,
Yeah,
tire
the
deck.
tyres are hanging in well.
His
Norris has
tyres are
managed to
definitely
find
gonna go off.
another level since he's taken
So
the lead.
he
He's
has to
roaring
pit
away from
within
Verstappen. They're going to
this
have 3.5
lap, 'cause
seconds.
next lap
and it's
I
gone
do
up by
not
nearly a
think
second
he can
on the
keep his
last
tyres
lap.
on.
He's in a different league to anyone
And
else.
keep up with Pierre
Leclerc
Gasly.
is finding some pace though.
Take 2 once again.
And now
Ferrari of Charles
Lewis
Leclerc
Hamilton
trying to
does go
turn
for
the
box.
outside line into the position. Oscar Piastri wise to that. You're not going the long way round, says the Australian, and he's still in 4th, but I don't think many people predicted this.
Yeah, I can't go faster.
And now Hamilton goes for the hard tires. A very good stop by the
Lewis Hamilton comes into the
Mercedes
pits. His
mechanic.
impressive
Where does
stint on the
Hamilton
soft
fall
tyre
in?
is over. He
He
goes to
falls
the whiteboard
in
hard tyre.
right
3 compounds the teams
behind
can choose from, the soft, the
Ricardo,
medium
but
and the hard.
let's
The
see
C3, the C2 and the
if
C1
there's any
tyres this
mess-ups
weekend.
with
Lando
Gasly
Norris is
fans,
checking out
Leclerc
front. He's got a
tyres, as that
3.6
would
second
benefit
lead.
Hamilton. 2.7,
Verstappen
not
comfortably
bad.
in second. Russell finds himself
Not
in
bad at
3rd,
all.
and Piastri is trying to keep this man behind.
It
3rd
seems like
lap in a row.
Verstappen is starting
It is
to
surprising
struggle with tyre
how
wear, and
Norris is
as he
marching
concluded
away.
from his radio
Him and
message
Piastri have
that
been
he's
fairly
struggling
evenly
with
matched
tyre
across all
wear.
conditions this weekend
That's
until
another
the final
thing
lap in
that,
qualifying
the
where
car does
Oscar
when,
didn't hook it up.
the tires,
And now we get to the race, they
go
both
down.
lose a place at the start.
Piastri,
But Norris managed to
Russell
hunt
also
down
seems to
Verstappen,
be
make a
struggling
clean
with the tyre,
pass,
as Piastri
and
seems
Piastri
to
not
be
able to
picking
actually
up
put any
the
pressure on George Russell in the Mercedes. Russell's still dropping ever
One
further
McLaren
away.
maybe into
And
the
in fact,
pits now.
Piastri
Followed
is
by
under
Leclerc
big
also.
pressure from Leclerc.
It
Leclerc
should be
again.
Norris,
Come, Charles
and oh,
Leclerc.
Leclerc does want it.
Scrubs off the speed They will remove those medium tyres in a few moments.
Let's see how the stop
After an
is.
encouraging stint, he's going to that fresher rubber faster. We'll get the benefit. Remember, we saw the fastest lap of the race, still the fastest lap of the race, by Alex Albon on that hard compounded tyre. So it's working on the Williams. The Ferrari will hope it works as well as he feeds back behind Fernando Alonso, having made his stop. The picture, as we look further down the order, for those who've come
and Hamilton does get the
Hulkenberg,
overtake on Yuki
in
Tsunoda.
14th, he's made his stop. So has Tsunoda. Lewis Hamilton's just gone to the hard tyres. Alex Albon, 11-lap-long stint. He's in 17th, and then Bottas has also stopped, as has Sargent and Joe. We're waiting for those at the very front. Highest driver to have stopped is Charles Leclerc, who's in 9th position.
Yeah, well, one goes, they all start to think about it. The information is that this is probably around the time, especially for Verstappen, who's clearly struggling on those tyres.
Now Hamilton will go into tyre
Now,
management.
the gap between Norris and Verstappen out front.
Gasly,
Russell will pit, and that's to cover off Leclerc. Mercedes are ready. This is to make sure that Leclerc doesn't undercut two cars with his early stop there.
Here is George Russell. Across the line in first position at the Belgian Grand Prix. The car was underweight. He was disqualified. He said in the press conference, they can't take that feeling away from me, though. He is not having the fastest stop. Slightly
and that's
slow
a pretty
on the front there, but 3.4
mid-stop,
seconds.
3.4
What can Charles Leclerc do?
That
can he take advantage?
It could be close. Leclerc's on the fastest middle sector of the race so far. There he is.
And he's going to sweep around the outside. He is in the net race ahead of Oscar Piastri and also ahead of George Russell. Charles Leclerc going for the early stop, getting the benefit of the fresh rubber, and a slightly slow stop for Mercedes means the Ferrari gets ahead.
I think the outlap was just good enough. Even if the Mercedes didn't have a 3.4 second, even if he had another second, I don't think he's going to be there with Leclerc. It's a brilliant strategy from Ferrari.
Okay, you got clear air now. Plan A, target +5. Let's go.
Yes, they hurry up. You can use those tyres. That just, that's the sort of catnip to a driver, isn't it? Your engineer's obviously happy with the tyres, the temperatures, and he's telling them to go.
So this is where we'll see what Oscar Piastri's got today. He's got clear air, so is his teammate out front. If he's got similar confidence, similar pace in the car as Norris, he can make the difference now he's got clear air. He has been close behind Russell the whole time, so this is his chance to make the difference.
Russell just roared past Fernando Alonso. They weren't even in the same race. This is Charles Leclerc, who was able to get past, and that is Fernando Alonso on the left-hand side. Charles Leclerc checks that he's far enough ahead and is able to get by into Tarzan corner as Ferrari get the leap. This is the slightly slow stop for Russell.
Front right was the one that took a long time to come off. Went on quickly enough, but it was just that delay getting it off that cost Russell.
Good.
This is Lewis Hamilton past an Alpine. He was trying to get past Pierre Gasly earlier on. That is Esteban Ocon. He's up to 14th place.
So incredibly, Leclerc is now in a net third place. He's jumped Piastri, who has to pit. The top two are still ahead. Soon they'll have to start thinking about covering off Charles Leclerc as well. But the Ferrari that had no pace through the weekend, Sainz had reliability issues on Friday.
Just mental, in such a high-speed corner, Hamilton's driving with one hand while focusing on changing his engine mode. Okay, so Verstappen does box now. Can it be a good stop or a bad stop? Will just add to the fire for
yeah, if they get their normal quick stop, they should bring him out in front of Gasly.
That's a 2.8.
Yeah, tidy enough.
2.8,
2.5 will work for
certainly
Max Verstappen, who has
better.
reported on the radio that he just can't get the car to respond
So
to
now
the inputs. You can see
getting
he's out
early,
on the
trying to go
circuit,
for an
and he
undercut.
will cover off the fast-charging Charles Leclerc, who set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Oh, sorry, George Russell now has.
But Piastri's now upped his own pace as well. Russell on fresh tyres is much quicker. The fresh tyres are giving a lot, but Piastri did his personal best lap of the race on a par with Norris, 10th and a half behind his teammate, so he has got more pace in there. He's just got to go long and try and give himself a big tyre advantage compared to these guys later on.
So it's Norris, Piastri, Perez yet to stop up to third, Sainz yet to stop up to fourth.
Well, I know we're going to box it.
Tell me when you guys are done.
What do you mean done? You have also to be here.
Well, he lost the lead in the opening meters of the Grand Prix. He took it back and he pits from the lead. It's sounding calm on the radio, but it's over to the pit crew now to deliver a high-pressure stop. They know that. This is what they practice for. Hit your marks. an aim for a quick stop. Wasn't the fastest, maybe taking their time. 3.1, maybe
3.1
being
seconds.
safe rather than sorry. Piastri takes the lead of the race. Perez moves up to second place, and Norris finds himself then coming out ahead of Max Verstappen, having covered off the Red Bull, his closest challenger in the Grand Prix.
Verstappen was a long way away from undercut range for Norris, which allowed McLaren a slightly slower stop and still a comfortable advantage.
Yeah, very tight pit lane here as well, so we see all of the pit crews, they get their air lines out of the way as the cars leave their box. So Aston Martin were playing a big role there for McLaren.
Lewis Hamilton has climbed up to 13th position. It is Piastri, Perez, Sainz, and then Norris, who has covered off Max Verstappen. Let's get another strategy hit with Ruth.
Well, it is a one-stop race. Medium hard looks like the way to go, although soft hard also looks possible. At the front, that mighty McLaren pace looks like they have about 3/10 advantage over the rest of the field. You can't see it when you're stuck behind a car, but the second they get free air, you can see that. Red Bull, they had to react to that undercut. They covered it off. They're going to try and consolidate P2 at this rate. With Lando out at front, if they'd waited one more lap, they might not have to re-overtake Sainz, but now it looks like they're going to have to do that. In terms of Oscar, what they're trying to do here is build a tyre advantage. They missed the undercut window, now they're going to try and extend and then have to use the car advantage and tyre advantage to try to pass to fill out that final podium
4.4,
position.
definitely not Red Bull material stop, you could say.
Perez comes
He's definitely going to fall off
stop,
behind Ricardo, no, behind Alonso and Stroll maybe.
And he's in a fight with Carlos Sainz further down. He's not at great pace in the other Red Bull. Sainz to pit.
As Hamilton does get in front
Lewis Hamilton
of
getting
two
another
cars
position
as Ricardo does
past
pit,
the second
and Hamilton's in 11th.
And he moves up to 11th place. And it is Hamilton moving past Magnussen and Hulkenberg.
Hamilton's
Lando Norris
main
has the fastest
objective
first
is
sector
to
of
catch
the
up
Grand
with the
Prix.
top 10.
Piastri and Sainz going longer on those medium tyres. 4.8 second advantage for Lando Norris over Max Verstappen. That is George Russell trying to apply the power. He is eventually going to get past Pierre Gasly and move up to 6th place. He is behind Charles Leclerc though, 3 seconds behind Charles Leclerc after the Ferrari let past him at the stops.
So I'm trying to get that slightly shallower line and then
Sainz go
losing grip, having
box,
to
box,
correct.
box.
See a little spike in tyre temperature, but underlying pace of the car much better. As Ferrari, let's see their slick work. That'll do nicely.
Beautiful stop by the Ferrari team.
So Sainz comes in for his first stop of the Grand Prix, having started in 10th position. Alonso up to 7th momentarily, Gasly running a long stint as well. And this is Perez sweeping by in the second Red Bull.
Yep,
Perez
sorry, Stroll pits.
ahead of Sainz.
And Hamilton's up to 10th. Beautiful
Perez
for
stays ahead. They're on the hard
Hamilton. Now he
compound
has to
tyre.
catch up within
Driver and the Spaniard.
Sainz and Perez. Just for information, Piastri, Gasly and Alonso have not pitted yet.
One-time Grand Prix
all
winner. It's
3 drivers have not pitted.
career
So
win for Lando
yeah,
Norris. He's
Piastri's
in a
not
brilliant
leading the
position
Grand Prix
to
with
make
the
it
big
2
advantage.
today.
Even
The story of the race so far is that
has
Norris got another
Tsunoda
full
has
start.
pit, but he has chosen
Verstappen
for
able to
mediums.
get by.
And it's
Took
definitely
2
not going his
overtaking
way
attempts
by the looks
for
of it.
Norris, first of all, to force the defensive shape into Tarzan corner. And then the next lap, able to get by to the apex first, past.
It's going to be a
Verstappen, and
long
he's built
race, but
the lead. That is
keep your
Perez
popcorn
diving
ready
to the
because
inside
it
of
can
Alonso.
be
Does Alonso know he's
interesting
there?
anytime. And Alonso
Yes.
tries to go for the
Up to 7th
overtake there.
place goes Sergio Perez.
I mean, Perez,
Very accommodating from Alonso.
the way Alonso
Looked like he was gonna be
defended,
headed
I thought
straight for the
he was
gravel
going to go for the
at the
overtake.
exit of 11, entry to
And
12.
again, he's going to
pit
get
and jump
passed
out of the
by
way of Carlos Sainz as well. So
Carlos
this is the
Sainz
battle
as
of
right
Perez
behind
and
his
Sainz.
rear wing.
Sainz pitted the
But
next lap,
Alonso
did
does have
jump the second
DRS,
Red Bull.
and he goes for the
Yeah,
pit.
that would have cost Alonso a little bit of lap time on that in-lap. And of course, your Grand Prix, you're racing pretty much, well, to the checkered flag, of course, but certainly to the last pit stop. So that would have cost him some total race time.
Fernando Alonso fed up of those tyres.
Good
gets
stop
a new
by
set,
the
and he has a
Aston
2.6
Martin
second
team,
stop.
2.6.
The world champion in 2005 and 2006. Gonna try and stay ahead here of Valtteri Bottas. Bottas going to move past in the Sauber, and he's up to 14th. And It is 16-lap-old hard tyres, though, the Sauber of Bottas. Alonso is ahead of his
I feel like now Gasly has to pit, otherwise the pit window is closed.
So those tyres into the temperature range, and we're just waiting for the pit stop for Oscar Piastri. This is a review of Sergio Perez getting by into turn 11.
Yeah, Perez was lining it up, and then I think he was a bit surprised Alonso braked a bit later than maybe expected. And then there would have been a moment in his mind where he was thinking, oh no, am I going to find myself in a shallow line with the car turning in? But Fernando knew he was there.
And this is Hulkenberg, who had a really tough run through the practice sessions, going off and damaging the front wing, but he's been off about 5 times this weekend.
Pierre Gasly does
it's a better moment for him, getting past his
finally,
teammate,
and Piastri. So let's see where will this drop him with the fight of Leclerc Russell.
Gasly is going to make his stop. Gone for an ultra long stint. 23 laps on the medium tyre. He'll get rid of it, and he'll try and fight his way back into the points. Gasly trying to get back in the points today for the first time since the Austrian Grand Prix.
So we're expecting Piastri
so
to
no
come
pits
at the end of this lap.
from medium to hards, I'm pretty sure now,
and then he'll
as
peel to the inside out of the
that definitely did not work.
Murray Lyondike corner, and unleash his teammate back into the race lead. Norris has done almost everything right, and he's not lost the lead at the start, but he's made amends, and he has got this race under control. He's building the advantage to Verstappen. I'm still very impressed by Leclerc. He's only 5 seconds away from Verstappen.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, though, I know we've got a long way to go in this Grand Prix, but the pace is there for Norris and McLaren to win it. But what they should be doing, of course, is with that sort of pace, it should be 1-2, and they're not going to get that this afternoon.
Lando Norris back into the lead, an advantage of 6.9 seconds. And Oscar Piastri was happy with his first run in qualifying yesterday. Didn't put it all together in terms of personal bests on the final run. Only driver that did took pole position. That was Lando Norris, who scored personal best.
Russell does overtake Piastri. So it's definitely Piastri is going for younger tyres compared to Leclerc and Russell. And that seems like a good strategy, to be honest.
The Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly finds himself dangerously close. You do not want to be that close to your mechanics, and it cost him time on the exit.
Let's just have a little review of that. He looked like he was actually going in for a front flap adjustment. Did he leave the tool there? I didn't actually see anything in his hand.
No, I don't think he did. It didn't look like he was going there for something. I'm sure there was a reason the hand was there. It was matrix stuff to get out of the way, wasn't it?
Pit box of Gasly almost running over
hesitated, though.
a mechanic.
I think conscious that doesn't normally see someone that close to the front wheel.
I imagine nothing focuses your mind than being down there, having your hands around the car and just hearing 8,000 RPM and the driver being dropped from the jacks.
Yeah, if I was in any role in a pit crew, it would be towards the rear of the car. It would be nowhere near the front.
He's on board with Max Verstappen, facing a slightly unusual situation. He is the driver who extended his championship lead last time out of the Belgian Grand Prix, finished 1 place ahead of Lando Norris. Lando Norris really unhappy with his first lap at the Belgian Grand Prix and unable to do what his teammate did, put it on the podium. It was eventually 2nd place for Oscar Piastri. Verstappen in his 200th Grand Prix start today has a sizable advantage. He's only seen his lead reduced like it would be if it finished like this in the Australian. He didn't finish Monaco, where he was roundly beaten. They didn't have the pace there, and Hungarian Grand Prix. So it would only be the 4th race all year long that someone has been able to eat into the championship advantage of Max Verstappen. And since this points system was adopted in 2010, we have never seen anyone lose the sort of margin that Verstappen has over Lando Norris.
But like you said, DC, with the performance that Norris has got today, able to lose the lead, repassed it on track, and then every lap is 3 or 4 tenths at the least that he's pulling out. Needed to be aiming for a 1-2, needed to be maximising their point score. They bought a big upgrade to this race, and it's obviously working nicely, but it's also a track that does suit the car, and something like Monza next week could be a very different outcome. So when you have a performance advantage like this, like they had in Budapest, it's so important for them in the constructors' fight, possibly even the drivers' fight, that they maximise their opportunity, and that's getting the 2nd car up there.
Yeah, Piastri's running in clean air, but he's half a second a lap slower than Norris, who, is half a second or so quicker than Verstappen. So you sometimes get a window where the car works for you, and certainly for Norris, that's here.
Norris on the last lap, 14.4. Everyone else behind, from Verstappen to Piastri, running within the same 10th, all on a 14.9.
That was the side of Daniel Ricciardo getting past Valtteri Bottas. The next car up the road for Ricciardo is Lance Stroll. They're on similar age tyres as well. Ricciardo, tough day yesterday, found himself out in Q1, but because of penalties and various disqualifications, found himself starting 13th on the grid,
fastest lap
being
so far
out in the bottom 5 in the first part of qualifying. Either way, he's trying to return to the points today, looking for his 4th point score in a Grand Prix in 2024, as the Red Bull stable try to solve this conundrum of which drivers are going to put in which seats. That has to be resolved fairly soon. Oscar Piastri, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's chasing down George Russell for 4th.
Yeah, he's responded, hasn't he? He's exploiting the performance of that car, now showing that he's matching what Norris is able to do. I must have blinked and missed the fact that Tsunoda, when we were seeing Daniel Ricciardo, his teammate, move up a place, has actually pitted twice.
Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda started on the soft tyre. Lewis Hamilton made it work from Mercedes. It was the medium tyre for the Japanese driver, and he's now switched to the hard. So they're not having the easiest time of it. Yuki Tsunoda, 12th in the Drivers' Championship, 22 points, same total as Nico Hülkenberg going in to today's Grand Prix. He has been the lead driver for the RB team so far this year.
Remember how early Alex Albon pitted?
Yeah.
Felt very early, and it was. He was the first driver to pit. He's actually jumped everyone. He's up in 11th place. He pumped in that fastest lap, didn't he? Having started from the back, was excluded from qualifying, and he's in 11th. Ahead of him, Kevin Magnussen is yet to pit. Surely he'll have to make a second stop because of how early he pitted on the first time.
Okay, Gasly was reviewed, no further investigation for an unsafe release. Also in pit lane news, Lance Stroll is under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. He's only 0.7 of a second away from Fernando Alonso, but every time we hear that message, if we go on past precedent, it's going to be a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane for Lance Stroll. It is a tight pit lane here. They have elongated it a little bit. It's a little bit wider than it used to be, but it is still one of the narrowest that we go to on the Formula 1 calendar.
Yeah, Aston not having a good race, considering they were both in the top 10 in qualifying. So it was almost like they'd managed to stop the rot, the dropping back since the beginning of the year in the qualifying pace, but race pace they're just working their way out of the points.
So everyone's fighting for 9th. Behind, and now Hamilton's got himself up amongst the top 4 teams in the top 8. All of the big 4 teams are still running, and they're too quick for anyone else to fight. Hülkenberg is up in 9th, having made a pit stop. Albon is 11th. Magnussen hasn't pitted. He's obviously going for a very long one stop. And Gasly, Alonso, and Stroll were the 3 that were in those lower points positions earlier on. They've all been jumped by Hülkenberg, Albon, and Magnussen, who's going long, but they're expecting those other 3 to do a 2-stop or a 1-stop in the case of K-Max. I think it will still come back to them.
Right, now on the front foot, Oscar Piastri trying to reclaim some of the positions that he's found himself losing by doing that stint. He's got the tyre offset, he's got fresher rubber. Can he make use of it? It's 14-lap-old tyres for Charles Leclerc. It is 13-lap-old tyres for George Russell, and then Piastri will hope that the superior pace of this updated McLaren. Yes, they've brought a few elements to certain races, but this is the biggest update since the update that changed their season. That was Miami, and since they brought the Miami update, they have been contenders for victory week in, week out. That's a review of Lance Stroll in the pit lane.
Yeah, he just overcooked it on the entry there. The telltale signs of the front axle locked up. He's clearly been over. He's got that penalty, but it must have just been by 1 or 2K.
Yeah, you could tell it was panicky because the rear axle locked as well, and he actually picked an anti-stall as he was all 4 wheels locked over the limit. Sometimes if you drop enough speed after the line, you can get away with it on a mini average, but not today for Lance.
Alex Albon, who has a long stint on these tyres, 26 laps to be exact. Oh, here's an opportunity. We've got overtakes everywhere you look, including around the outside to take the place for Oscar Piastri, who says goodbye to George Russell. And that is a tyre offset. That is a difference in performance writ large at turn number 1. Piastri will be trying to hunt down Charles Leclerc next.
He's actually really quick right now, Piastri. When Russell pitted and he was launched into those few laps of clean air, he was fast considering the tyre life that he had, and now he's got the tyre advantage over Russell, and he's making the difference.
Can I interest you in cars absolutely everywhere? Look at this, a total brawl
Oh
on
my
the
God.
straight.
What the hell is that?
And corner will not work. Turning his way back to the points is Alex Albon, who's then being overtaken by Pierre Gasly. Gasly goes to 10th.
Grand Prix
Albon's
racing
in
at its
11th.
finest.
Alonso in 12th position, and Stroll in 13th. That one came alive.
I think that's what happens when you have Kevin Magnussen at the front of a bunch who hasn't yet fitted. He's just been shuffled out by all of them. Albon was the first to make the move. Then Gasly managed to get himself back into the top 10, and you can see the Aston Martins prowling, trying to get their way through as well on fresher tyres. Well, that's a bit of fun.
I was thinking we need to highlight how strong Alex Albon is with this updated Williams. The width of the floor not within the technical regulations yesterday. They've modified that, but the update really working. Going to talk about the stint length, and we cut to 5 cars side by side on the main straight. It is Hülkenberg ahead of Gasly. Gasly got past Albon, who's running a long stint on the hard tyre. Alonso, Stroll and Magnussen still yet to visit the pit lane, having started there, tumbles to 14th.
Be interesting to see now how quickly Piastri can catch Leclerc. Leclerc's 6 seconds down on Verstappen. There's still 31 laps to go, and that McLaren is so fast, and it's now quick in both of their hands, as Alonso has an easy pass on Alex Albon. The fresher tyres paying off now for the drivers there that pitted a bit later. I think Piastri's definitely got a podium in him today. Can he even get back to Verstappen?
That is a dream scenario for McLaren if he can.
Yeah, I think he can. I think Verstappen, that's all he's got.
Verstappen's been saying that on the radio. Right, let's enjoy this again. Kevin Magnussen was at the front of the field when he came out of turn 14, and he was bringing half the grid with him. Alex Albon's going to get himself up a place. He had Alonso in the mix as well.
Really dangerous.
Alex didn't love it.
That'll be from something earlier on. This onboard is going to be crazy. Having cars pass you absolutely everywhere on the main straight.
That's Albon, that's Gasly, that's Fernando Alonso. 3 wide into turn 1, quite a view. And through goes Lance Stroll as well.
Difficult to see from that what part of danger Alex is referring to.
It will have come earlier on, probably at 11 and 12, I imagine, which is why they were both balked, and all of those other 3 started pouncing on the main straight. I don't think we saw it there.
Okay, I'll have a word with Alex after the race and see, can you give us a bit more description, please? Help us have clarity when you feel something is a bit dangerous out on track. Tell you what, actually, danger for Alex is next year when Carlos Sainz is in the Williams. He's had a fairly easy time of it with Logan Sargent, and Carlos has certainly got good speed, so we'll really get to see how much of an improvement he's made since his early days at Red Bull.
It'll be a great lineup for Williams. You must have had it in your career where you're in the thick of the action. It's cut thrust everywhere, cars everywhere. You're side by side for many corners, and you're thinking the world must be witnessing this great move that I'm about to pull off. And then you radio something like that, and everyone has no idea what you're talking about.
Yes, indeed. I remember whooping once. I went down the middle of 2 cars in Magny Cours to pass them both, and get a little whoop. No reaction. Watched the race back afterwards. It wasn't on telly. Explains the 0 reaction.
And Palmer's just trying to get his overtaking fest at Singapore uploaded once again.
My greatest move was missed out of the archive. Not even in the archives.
If you're listening in the gallery, they don't mean it. They don't mean it. Great moves not watched around the world. Well, Carlos Sainz is trying to provide us with one that we can see on that 43. James Vowles, team principal at Williams, says that when Sainz goes there, 3-time Grand Prix winner Carlos Sainz, some great race victories in there as well. He believes, James Vowles, when Sainz goes alongside Albon, everyone will be able to see the level that Albon is operating at. It's going to be a fascinating narrative. There are so many of them coming our way in 2025. Mercedes have to confirm in the near future who they're going to put in place of 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. Everyone expecting Formula 2 driver Italian Kimi Antonelli to be confirmed. Not yet 18 years of age, a highly rated prospect who's been part of their academy since he was 13 years of age. And Sainz, who left the pits behind Perez, nibbled away at that gap, as you can see from the graphic there at the bottom of your picture. He's trying to improve to 6th position.
Yeah, one Ferrari attacking, the other one's soon going to be defending. Piastri is catching Leclerc fairly quickly now. 6-7 tenths per lap. He's going to be there on the next one. Sainz going nicely as well behind Perez. They're not far away from George Russell just ahead either. The Mercedes pace just doesn't seem to be there today. Hamilton making no inroads behind.
Esteban Ocon is the driver making his way by. And that was into turn number 1, getting past Valtteri Bottas. And Bottas comes into the pits on the next lap.
So I think for Piastri, this move's going to be harder than the one on Russell. The later you get into a race, the more the driver ahead starts to think it's worth defending and getting both elbows out to try and keep the place. And it's for third place. And a podium here for Charles Leclerc would be such a result. Back-to-back podiums after Spa, and the way that Ferrari have been, they could really use that.
Sainz trying to go the long way round. He's forced the defensive move from Perez, left-hand side of your screen, and run out of road by the Mexican driver. Sainz still P7.
Yeah, you can see Leclerc has responded to the fact that Piastri's got that gap down, lap time-wise, but it just feels as if McLaren is just too... They're able to be aggressive with the positioning of the car. These longer corners that we heard Max Verstappen, as we see Leclerc there struggling for rear grip. He's run a little bit wide, so this might just allow Piastri to be in DRS on this lap.
It's a really big snap for him, wasn't it? He managed to catch it, just staying clear of Piastri.
Gap to Verstappen is 10. Under a safety car, we think we would take it for a medium, come out behind him, and then you'd pass him. Happy?
Yeah, just sound maybe a little confident. I agree. I'll figure it out.
And Norris just ticking off the laps, you feel here. McLaren ticking through all the scenarios on the radio. As Charles Leclerc is the driver who is in our picture now, or at least he was. We'll go back to his teammate. This time, much later move for Perez. Once again, that door is about to close, and Sainz knew it. He didn't attack on the outside of turn 1.
He needs to do a bit more on the entry and really assert himself on the outside. At the moment, it's just a nose, and Perez will squeeze him wide. So he just needs another half a car length there and give Checo no option to run him towards the gravel on the exit.
This is a stronger race from Perez. He's only, what, 15 seconds behind Verstappen. And that would certainly be closer than he's been over a race run, assuming he doesn't lose that much more. So it'll be a sigh of relief for Red Bull, but of course 6 is still not a big points haul.
Could yet be 7th as well, with Sainz now putting the pressure on every single lap. Here's his teammate looking straight back in the mirrors at Oscar Piastri.
A sea of orange that surrounds this circuit. He's about to see another papaya car on the attack. Piastri stayed out longer. He elongated that first stint so that he would have the chance to attack now. It was a strategy to go for what we call the undercut. Went for the fresh rubber first at Ferrari, got them track position, but Piastri just more comfortable at this stage this time. Far braver on the brakes into turn number 1. And Carlos Sainz trying to fight his way by. He's done so as he got past Perez. He has, and he's taken 6th position from the Mexican driver, who's down to 7th.
Well, there we go. That was exactly the move. More commitment on the brakes, forced the issue. A great send around the outside there for Sainz.
Yeah, he would be arriving with probably around 20 kilometers an hour overspeed with the benefit of DRS, and then he's made it work. The knowledge that that's a corner that's cambered, you can take that wide line, and very well executed overtake.
You can sort of scope that out as well on the last couple of laps. Think, well, maybe he's a bit early on the brakes, let's try this, and just have a feel for it, and then you know the next lap you're just going to bulldozer it round the outside, commit to that brake point, and hope that you can hang on through the corner.
Lando Norris leads Max Verstappen by 12 seconds at this stage of proceedings. The joy of Formula One in recent times has been the fine margins, the ultra-competitive races that have seen 7 different drivers take the top step this season. A season that has really come alive, but this has huge significance for the championship. At the moment, Norris is taking 7 points out of Max Verstappen. We're looking at the battle further back with Charles Leclerc trying to score back-to-back podiums. Oscar Piastri trying to fight his way to the position that he found himself in.
Oh, that would be amazing.
The line a while ago now. Lost it to George Russell on the opening lap, and Piastri's been trying to fight back ever since.
Leclerc's having some drive at the moment, still there managing to keep Piastri behind. If he can do that for the next 24 laps, this will be a superb result for Ferrari. On the other side, Piastri has to clear Leclerc in the next lap or two if he wants to get to Verstappen, because he is just losing time here. Leclerc's actually matching Verstappen, but Piastri's got another probably 3-4 tenths in there to catch, and he needs that every single lap.
And he needs to before Leclerc gets into the DRS of the cars ahead as well, because that will then make it take even longer to get the pass. So he really needs to try and get a good drive. He goes a bit wide off the last turn, and that will have meant that he's not close enough on this lap.
Turn 13, the exit curbs there can cause damage to the underside of the car and to the aerodynamic
Hamilton is boxing
generation of the floor. This ground effect era of Formula One cars, the regulations will change again for 2026, but so much downforce created from the floor, even minor damage can cost you. Piastri using all of the curb and a bit more there, trying to continue to run in the slipstream of the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. This is Lewis Hamilton, out of position at the start of this one, 14th on the grid. After getting a 3-place penalty for impeding Sergio Perez, he was eliminated in Q2 as well. That was a 2.6 second stop.
He had a free pit stop behind him, so I think that's a bit of a hit and hope there for Mercedes. Nothing to lose. He's going to finish in 8th unless they try and do something different. So bolt on some softs and see if he can go chasing those ahead.
Yeah, I think that nice shiny set of tyres. He can go chasing fastest lap as well.
Fastest lap is going to be important. The bonus point, 1 point that comes with it, if you can find yourself in the point scoring positions. And Norris in the Drivers' Championship will be looking for every single point he can get. We're on lap 50 of 72. Stops on the left-hand side for you there. Looking at Sargent, Tsunoda and Magnussen heading in to turn number 1 ahead. They are 1 lap down. Sargent in 16th, Tsunoda in 17th, Magnussen P18 at the moment, having started from the pit lane. And they're going to have to make way for Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri.
It's a horrible feeling for Leclerc. Just when you think you've got the race under control and you look ahead and see 3 drivers all battling it out, focused on each other, and you know you've got to navigate your way past them all without losing any time, because the car behind would love just a hint of an opportunity to pass.
I think we're seeing the aftermath of either being ready for a Red Bull or to try and throw another team into trying to react and head to the pits.
I imagine that was Perez. Would they cover off Hamilton's pit or would they not? And they seemed a little bit in two minds, but didn't.
At the moment, as it stands, Red Bull's Constructors' Championship lead is reduced to 29 points. Piastri trying to make it an even better day for McLaren, who look like they're going to win the Dutch Grand Prix for the first time since 1985, but we've seen late twists. We've even seen a twist in the last Grand Prix after the checkered flag. So we'll take nothing for granted, and we'll call you through the final laps in the company of Jolyon Palmer and David Coulthard as we make our way to the end of the 15th Grand Prix of the season. 7 different winners, but Lando Norris looking to do what only Hamilton and Verstappen have done this year and win multiple Grand Prix.
Yeah, we wondered, didn't we, off the back of the summer break, just whether the running order, the outright pace of the teams would remain the same. And McLaren came into this, I think, the favourite, and have absolutely shown that they've got significantly better pace and use of the tyres. Verstappen running a good 13 seconds behind, almost 14 seconds behind Norris, and he's got no answer.
The average pace difference per lap since Norris has been in the lead is about 4 tenths per lap. It's such a big difference. 3.5 tenths in qualifying. McLaren typically have had better race pace than they've had qualifying pace, and it's showing once again. But they really need Piastri to start banking some big points as well. Still in 4th. With every lap that Leclerc's holding on, he'll gain a bit of confidence, start to feel like he can keep this up to the end of the race. And even if Leclerc can't, this is helping Verstappen keep that Red Bull in 2nd place.
At the start of the day, it was a 78-point advantage for Max Verstappen over Lando Norris. It's still a great advantage to have at any stage of any World Championship. But that pace differential that Jolyon just mentioned, we still have, at the end of this Grand Prix, 9 to go. And we go all the way around the world. Monza, the high-speed challenge of Monza, and then to Azerbaijan, to Singapore, then to Austin, Mexico. We visit Sao Paulo, Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. There is still time to at least apply the pressure And if Norris can convert this lead into victory, he will have restarted after the summer break in the perfect fashion. The question is, can his teammate Oscar Piastri join him on the podium?
In terms of for Verstappen, I think this result is actually okay. Given the pace difference of the car, to lose 7 points to Norris in the Drivers' Championship, you'd take that on a weekend like this. He's not obviously got the pace to fight.
That's Lando Norris diving to the inside and lapping Lance Stroll. I'm not sure whether that was the low camera angle or it was as close as it looked.
Yeah, it did feel as if it was all a bit of a last-minute decision. Maybe Lance was lifting out slightly, not wanting to get in the way of the race leader, and if it was, then he certainly did it in a way that caught Lando out, but he's safely found his way past. Next up will be Lance's teammate, Alonso.
DC.
A lap down.
DC's been in a Grand Prix in the past where the race leader's been taken out by a back marker. Went pretty well for you back in Brazil 2001.
I can't remember that one. Did I win?
You did win.
Oh, thank you.
You had a boogie on the podium afterwards as well.
Yes, I did indeed. Yeah, it didn't work out quite so well for Michael Schumacher when lapping me in Spa, though, did it?
Back in 1998 in the middle of a championship battle. Well, Max Verstappen has taken every pole position here until yesterday. Since the Dutch Grand Prix returned to the calendar, he's taken every win here, potentially, until today. He hasn't got the car. He told us on the radio earlier on, it's not responding to his inputs, and he is then just trying to score the best result possible. Piastri unable to ever really shape for a move against Leclerc, and he's now at that 1.6 second buffer. He will hope that Leclerc's hard tyres are not in great shape at the end. He's got much fresher rubber on that car.
Leclerc did hammer those tyres as soon as they went on. Lit up the timing screens, jumped Russell as well as Piastri to get himself up into that third place. So Piastri potentially just having a bit of a breather, giving his tyres a rest and waiting for the next assault. It is all good news for Verstappen, who's driven well today. He's driven really well this weekend. But as he said, hasn't had the pace, got the start. That was as good as he could possibly have done. And after that, Norris has just been on another level today.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive. With it being a relatively short lap here and quick lap time, that'll explain why we've got our race leader has lapped everyone up to Fernando Alonso, which he will be doing fairly soon.
The drivers will be getting blue flags to tell them to move out of the way.
This
is George Russell's time out on the racetrack compared to Carlos Sainz. Ferrari having a much happier Sunday than Saturday. Being able to go on the front foot, didn't have the one-lap pace. Carlos Sainz out in Q2, but he's been able to attack today.
They've almost got the second best car today, Ferrari. It's a really impressive turnaround from Saturday to Sunday. Sainz now putting pressure on the lead Mercedes. And Leclerc, had he not lost all those places, Sainz pick up a slipstream almost all the way to the pit lane there as Russell dives out of the way, committing to a two-stop. If Leclerc had started with Verstappen, they've been matching each other pretty well since.
See how hot the brakes were as he slowed it down to the pit limiter on his way. Tidy enough pit stop, not their fastest, but again, where will this put Russell will be coming out? That's his teammate Lewis Hamilton. You're seeing